Thanks for tuning into the Texas Scratch King channel. Please don't forget to subscribe, like and share this video. Part 2. Frank Rocca speaking about the myths behind some of our most famous dogs. Let us begin. But thinking that I understand his character. I believe that part of his reasoning behind shuffling paperwork was to have people like me writing about his great and mysterious dogs while people like you are reading this. Believing most or at least some of these tales and then all of us going out to get some more of that good old Carver blood of which my own yard is full of in the 90s. But I still feel this is a proper place to reiterate the facts that no matter what methods Mr. Carver used, or whether we agree with these methods or not, or if I believe any of these epic tales which surrounded his grandiose lifestyle, pure documented fact through, the proof is in the pudding shows that he was probably the premier breeder and personality of the 20th century and probably will continue to be way behind our own times. The Carver strain as we know it today is probably dosed with the blood of Boudreaux's Eli, Trahan's Rascal, Hernandez and Klaus Zeke, Carver's Iron Head, Carver's Pistol, Carver's Black Widow, Carver's Miss Spike, Art's Missy and countless others. Many heavily influenced by the good Leitner stock from Ed Crenshaw through Snow and Freddie Jones Reno and McKay's and Crenshaw's Stew Flower. Infusions from the yards of Russell Jolly, Jack Thompson and many other Western breeders of that era, who were less known but nevertheless made for it and had partaken in the evolution of the fast lane game in the southwestern portion United States of America and Mexico. Along with formidable charges of Enrique Morfin. Mr. Shire also posed another interesting question to me. He asked me to name any littermates of Honeybunch. Now it was not that Tommy had a yard full of iron-head dogs and was trying to make his own charges appear bigger than life, or to sell high-dollar pups and charge outlandish stud fees from his old stock. The fact is that at the time of Tommy's death, most of his interest was consumed by the Jenkins and Berryfield-bred dogs. Tommy had a game-checked, bat-eared, black and tan bitch called Cricket that he loved and was of tight Jenkins stock. During our last conversation he expressed a great interest in outcrossing her to my Stonewall, who was a product of a one-half brother-to-sister breeding from Honeybunch. He was amongst the first litter from B&S Grand Champion Snake to a littermate to Crenshaw's Champion Charlie, Sweatman's Champion Holly and Garrett's Champion Jeep Rom. One at times called Crenshaw's Champion Missy. The grandparents of my Stonewall were Crenshaw's Champion Otis Rom, Champion Honeybunch Rom, Finley's Champion Beau Rom, Champion Honeybunch Rom. Anyway, I was to judge a show in Cajun Country in 1993 and made plans with him over the phone to carry his Jip Cricket home with me. Both of us hoping she would eventually come into heat. When I arrived in Louisiana and asked if Tommy would be attending the confirmation show again, like the last time I judged there when Mr. Floyd Boudreaux gave me the honor of acting as my ring steward. Ms. Jean Carpenter, who is the president of the nonprofit Endangered Breed Association and helps out at the Cajun confirmation show, informed me at the confirmation show in Lafayette of Tommy's recent death. Our last phone conversation was ironic, to say the least. Tommy cautioned me to pay attention, son, because I'm only gonna tell you these things once, so write it all down. So I listened and wrote, so I could write for you to read as he wanted it to be. Once again, I take editorial privilege at playing the devil's advocate, which means that throughout this text I will be both prosecutor and defense, showing both sides of each. I also mentioned to Tommy how an associate of the seemingly unbeatable V&B Champion Chinaman Rom team told us at the wash bucket in front of a small crowd how they never had any registration papers on him and then was given away as a champion, having no idea how he was bred. Later the story by others was he was sired by Crenshaw's Champion Tojo, meaning somewhere between his first roll and changing hands, he somehow supposedly acquired another set of registration papers, showing him off Woods Trouble aka Hooten's Black Jack. Naturally by this time it does not matter much, because Champion Chinaman Rom was one of the most outstanding athletes ever, and has created a winning bloodline of his own. Chinaman won his first at 0.28, second in 0.48, then his championship at 5 years of age over another fast lane 2XW named Hubcap, that had defeated Champion Astro, and finally a fourth at 6 years old in only 0.38. Champion Chinaman Rom was bred to one of his own daughters to get Garner's Frisco Rom, a dog that has proven to outproduce his own capable sire in the form of many winners worldwide. A double irony with Frisco is in how his dam is bred. Vince's China Girl, her dam was Hobbs' own. Frisco Rom has shown as a matter of record his knack of siring many high-performance bulldogs. I know Mr. Garner had hardly anything to do with hanging papers if done at all on Chinaman, and I doubt he falsified a third report on Champion Missy. Still in all, I find these bits of trivia interesting, as I know many others will as well. Again, this was not brought up to slander anyone. Realistically, if someone come up with a legitimate story which conflicted some of my own old charges like cherry bomb or Stonewall, I would listen, weigh it out and take Tuffy, a granddaughter of Patrick's Tuffy, which was another producing Patrick's bitch through her owner J. Hobbs, reveals in Your Friend and Mine May June Volume 1. Her true pedigree. So here we have a case scenario where an inbred dog has created a line of his own. But if someone come up with a legitimate story which conflicted some of my own old charges like cherry bomb or Stonewall, I would listen, weigh it out and take it for what it was worth. After all, I did not breed either one of those cornerstones of my kennel. So how could I ever be sure unless I saw the breeding, the whelping and the weaning? Anyway, this is nothing more than hearsay with every pedigree. Unless I made all the breedings for 4 generations. Kept all of the dogs used to perpetuate that blood in question and above all else remained as honest as humanly possible. Some other people who had heard that same story assured me that the breeding in question to create Chinaman really did take place. They asked how could Chinaman have littermates with papers if his was fake. Well, if those people asking that question really needed a situation like that explained to them, then it is evident how they are in for many self-induced surprises throughout their lives. But again, there is no way to know which story is real. So I am inclined to believe his pedigree now, as it conforms his type, character and the way his progeny is performed. None of us that has this breed will ever know the true breeding of the dogs behind them. Mr. Ed Crenshaw said that Ironhead had a mask that carried on in his offspring. I started with some dogs that were said to be of snooty Jeep breeding. I can say that these dogs are of that breeding because I get offspring that look just like these 2 dogs. I also have them come with the mask of Ironhead. I have inbred and outcrossed them with some dogs that came from the breedings that Super Nat made. Thanks again for listening to the Texas Scratch King channel. Until the next time, my friends, as we always say, never submit to life and keep scratching every time.